where's the loudest place. You go different places, and the ones you've been to most recently seem the loudest. But this one definitely is arguably 1A, 1B in the group. They're up there. Both regular season games up there in 06 and 10, I believe, were super loud, and even in the preseason there in 14, I think it was loud. So it'll be a heck of an atmosphere. They're on a roll right now, as we are, and so it'll be a heck of a challenge playing against the opponent on the field, and then certainly we got to be able to handle the noise as well.
Coach said he wanted you guys to take the week off. Did you do anything to relax, take the week off?
Yeah, it was perfect. I think obviously it came almost at the midway point. It's coming after a 10-day trip or so there to Cleveland and London, so I think it came at a good time. Guys that were had some bumps and bruises to rest up. Some of us, I didn't have anything lingering, but rest your mind a little bit. And then it gives you a chance to get a little bit ahead on Seattle. I think you want to stay in somewhat of a routine, but I peeked at them a little sooner than a normal Monday when I would normally look. But it was a good week. But I think the guys, I know they were excited to get back in here on Monday and now get back into a regular routine for this, back half of the season.
How has the play of your line sort of evolved since the start of the season?
They're playing really well together. I think that's the biggest thing. They're playing well together. We missed Joe there for him, for a handful of games, and Sam has stepped up and did a nice job. We missed Russell for a game, but for the most part, especially in the interior, those guys have been on the field together for a lot of snaps and all throughout training camp. And I think, as you've heard me say, I think that's the group that has to gel and come together. You talk about timing with the receivers and quarterbacks. I've always said I think that group, it's very important. And I think they've done that, and you've seen it in our efficiency in the run game and then in the pass protection. They've really, while there's some different guys in there, it really picked off from last year thus far. It just hadn't been knocked down very much, and they've done a great job of keeping it clean, and then the guys on the outside are getting open. So it really starts with those guys up front. They enjoy being around one another, and then they're working super well together in between the lines as well.
Anything you sort of do throughout the year to sort of show your appreciation for them?
I think they know that, but I usually save that towards the end. But it's I think that's what is unique. I was just asked about it in there about what's kind of gelling for this team, what's our identity, and it may be cliche, but I think it's just our togetherness. And there's a lot of guys contributing. I think everybody sees that. Everybody knows their role. There's no role that's big and small, although that is the case. But everybody has embraced their role, wherever that may be, and it's cool to see that and see so many guys contributing and working together to get things done. Just find a way to win the game, and we've been doing that, and see if we can keep it going.
With Mike and Tyrell doing so well, stretching out defenses, how has that changed how defenses handle Keenan? Has it been different in all this?
Yeah, not a ton. I think that's why you've seen the ball go over teams' heads some, because they're still doing the same things to Keenan. Certainly you see times when they're doubling him, and other times they're rolling his way. But it's making it tougher and tougher when those guys are getting behind teams. So, like I've always said, I think I've been getting asked every week about Keenan's production. I think he's been great. He's on track. He's similar to what he had last year. And at this point last year, he was kind of right in this mix. And then he had a stretch of 10-catch games there for 3 or 4 weeks in a row. So will that come? Maybe. And if not, he's definitely obviously a huge part in what we're doing. The third down plays he made against Tennessee were huge. And he's going to continue to be a big factor and help, those other guys have some favorable matchups.
Phil, how do you balance that? Keenan obviously showed his frustration with kicking the pylon, and you guys talk on the sideline. A lot of people want the ball. How do you manage?
Yeah, I think it's something that's never been a problem here. We've always had a lot of guys contribute and a lot of playmakers, maybe more so now than ever, as far as the volume of guys that are involved and that you want to get involved in handling the football. I think I interact and have spent enough time with these guys. I want them to want it, and I really had no problem with him being frustrated with the ball. It was just, again, the way he went about it. And really looking back at that play, it was a play we hadn't quite got called just because the way the games have come up. We've been wanting to call it. He finally got it called. He ran a great route, and it just didn't work out. So I think there's a little bit of that because we both thought that play was going to be a touchdown. But I think it's good, and I think at the end of the day, I mean, at the end of the day, they all know they all help one another. We all win when we win on the scoreboard, and these guys know that. But I think having that competitiveness and that desire to want it and get it and throw it my way is what you want as a quarterback. You want them all to feel that way, and then we all understand and manage it from an emotion standpoint, and that's never been a problem here, and it wasn't. It won't be now. I mean, there's no concern of mine from that standpoint.
Phil, you're about to start your 200th consecutive regular season game. When you look back to game one, that first start, any memories that really stick out?
Well, it was in Oakland. Oakland, it may have been September 11th or 9th. I don't know. It was a Monday night. Second game of a Monday night doubleheader. But I threw it 11 times. I threw 11 passes. I was 8 for 11 for 107 yards and a touchdown to Gates. So I do remember that. We had 10 or 11 sacks on defense, so we didn't need to throw it very often. I remember telling Gates that was the first touchdown of many, and he was frustrated because we only threw it 11 passes. I don't know if that was the only catch he had or not. When you look up later, and he's had, close to 90, he and I. So that's what stands out. We obviously won the game, I think, 27-0. But it's crazy how time does fly. Everybody says it. Your career it'll be over. It'll go just like that, and it really has. I mean, there's been a lot to it. There's times when it feels like it's moving slow, and in certain points of different seasons. But to look back and think of how many guys you played with and been around, and now that it'll be 200 in a row, it's pretty. I'm very thankful to have that opportunity.
What does that number mean for you?
Well, Favre was always a favorite of mine, still is, and I kind of wanted to have that mark, or at least push forward in college. I was able to play 51 in a row in college, which I don't know if that still stands now with how many games they play now and playoff system and all that. And I always thought, gosh, of all the things in the pros, that would be the one. And I'm not going to get there. I'm not going to get there. So y'all can do the math and figure out your projection of how many years I'm going to play. But I'm not going to get to 300. But it's pretty cool. I mean, obviously the two Mannings and Favre have started over 200 in a row, and I just feel thankful. I think there is a small element of toughness involved, but then again, there's lots of prayers for me from many people on Sundays, and God's protection to allow me to be out there each and every week, whether dealing with minor things or big things, and and then just that competitiveness, to want to be out there and play every week. And I have that same passion in this 200th one that I had in that first one, and that's what excites me for the next handful of years.
Why is the longevity maybe you think more important to you than say like I'm going to break the passing yards record or something?
Yeah, I don't know. I think some of that was probably as a young boy. I just remember my dad always saying, unless you can't get off the field, you get off the field. Just some of those little things. I don't know. I think there's just, and then in college, all you heard, one of the things you heard from Chuck Amato was the best ability is dependability, and so I think just being out there each and every week has always been important. Obviously, you want to be able to be out there and help. It's not just be out there. You want to play at a high level, and that's been up and down over 199. But being out there means something. And then obviously, I shouldn't say that's what I said I want to do, but that was one that I thought was so awesome. Seeing that he played 300-plus games, counting the playoffs in a row, was unbelievable. But obviously, chasing a championship for our team has always been number one, and we're here in the midst of that here in week 9 or whatever it is.
For a number of years, Seattle had the top defense.
You got a phone ring up here. What's that?
For a number of years, Seattle was the number one in terms of their defense. And how much of a drop-off have you seen from Legion of Boom to where they are?
Well, I'll tell you what, they're playing really good defense right now. I think the biggest difference is you used to go in, and this is not by any means sliding the roster, the defensive lineup now. But you used to go into that game, or you could just say who's on Seattle's defense, and you could write out every one of them right because they'd been together for so long and had won Super Bowls, went to back-to-back Super Bowls, won that Super Bowl against Denver. So now there's just been so much change on that defense, but they're still the same scheme. And then there's plenty of names that you can recognize and name. So it's a good group. I mean, they're up there high in every category. And like I said, they've played really well here the last, they've won 4 of the last 5. And so it'll be a heck of a challenge going against them. There's not a lot of a lot of tape you watch that you see many holes, glaring holes on that defense. You know, I think, you know, Wagner in the middle is the one guy that's been there through a lot of that turnover, and he runs the show. You know, him and KJ Wright, they orchestrate it all and do a heck of a job.
Philip, was there ever a time during this streak where you thought you weren't going to be able to play in a game, or it was close? I think there was a championship game against New England where it was
Those don't count in the streak, so I would have been all right in those playoff games. I don't know why they don't, but they don't. But yeah, no, really not in the regular season. I mean, I really, you know, in 14 or 15, whenever it was, we were going to Kansas City. I kind of, I had a deal. I wasn't real sure, but I usually when I got to Thursday, Friday, I felt pretty optimistic I was going to be able to try out there and go.
Do you think too, with the Mannings and you, maybe with the rules with quarterbacks now, it's easier to get a longevity streak?
I mean, maybe so. I mean, I think it certainly has helped on the back half. The more protection they've given us, but you know, there's been a lot of games played. There's only 3 other guys up there, so I don't know.
You taking all the kids trick or treating today?
Yeah, we'll try to squeeze in a few houses just around the neighborhood. I'm not sure who everybody is yet. I think there'll be one Phillip Rivers in the bunch. I think, but he has so many guys' jerseys. He'll probably alternate from house to house. It'll be all kind of Charger players in the neighborhood, but it'll be it's always fun. And Tiffany does a heck of a job because I'll come home and they'll all be ready to go. So I'll be surprised to see what everyone is.